Thank you. I think we're just getting started. So
Yeah.
President Millibar, I think we can proceed.
We just started the meeting for the December DCA board meeting, and we're gonna call roll call and then go into closed session.
So good afternoon, board members and members of the public, starting with President Millibar,
Aye.
Director Stromera, Director Stromera,
Sorry, yes, I was on mute.
Director Martin,
Present.
Director McMillan,
Here.
Director Chang,
Here.
Director Anaptawi,
Here.
and Director Weed.
Here.
And from my view here on my screen, I can see and would like to acknowledge alternate Director LaMoreau. And I'm not sure. Oh, and alternate Director Plinsky. So we have a quorum.
Okay, we can proceed to closed session.
And President Milbar, just for the record, acknowledging we didn't receive any public comment requests for closed session.
We need.
I can confirm, we have not received public comment requests for this item.
Okay, thank you.
And so whenever you're ready, we can.
Sorry, I'm
proceed.
here.
Okay, Josh, any report out of closed session?
Thanks, President Milbar. We have no reportable action.
Okay, we'll open the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. United States of America.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll move to item 5. We're now public comment on items not on the agenda. If you wish to make a public comment, we request that you submit a request through QR code noted on the agenda. In addition, attendees may provide public comment during the meeting by submitting a comment card or using the raise hand function in the Zoom platform. Those participating by phone can press *9 to raise their hand. If we have any comments at this point?
President Millibar, I can confirm that we have not received public comment for this item. I'd also like to take a moment and acknowledge that we have participation remotely from alternate Director Palmer, alternate Director Fast, and alternate Director Ballard.
Okay, very good.
We acknowledge that.
We'll move on to item 6A, minutes. Need of approval for the October 16th, 2025 meeting. Is there a motion?
Motion.
A second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's,
President Milbar, I apologize. We do need
that's
a roll call.
Yeah, to have a roll
and
call.
also,
oh, okay.
just also confirming we didn't receive a public comment request.
That is correct. No public comment request for this item, so I will do roll call now.
All right.
President Millibar,
Aye.
Director Martin,
Aye.
Director McMillan,
Yes.
Director Stromera,
Aye.
Director Chang,
Aye.
Director Anaptawi,
Yes.
and Director Weed.
All right.
All right, thank you. Meeting minutes
Okay.
approved.
Approved. Item 7A, discussion. Our next item, the monthly report. Graham.
Thank you, President Millibar. Let Claudia get the monthly report pulled up. We'll go to the executive summary. So our key focus areas remain support to DWR for significant permit activities, currently the focus on the change of point of diversion hearings. Number of engineering studies focused on the project design, looking at potential refinements, all geared towards providing an updated cost estimate and basis of design report in early 2027. So that's a big ongoing effort, significant amount of work. included within that, as well as further refinement and development of the schedule with a real intense focus on the next 3 to 5 years. And I do expect over the next couple of months, we'll be augmenting our progress reporting to start looking at a more detailed schedule and using that information to help inform progress. Additionally, internal to the DCA, we've got a number of internal management plans, procedures, workflows that we're all developing so that we're ready for that transition to the delivery phase of the project once the implementation votes amongst all the PWAs are complete. In terms of our financials for the fiscal year, we have an overall budget of $65 million. We've currently got a spend as of the end of November, which is about 42% just linearly of the year. We're looking at a spend of $22 million. That's about $17.5 million in incurred costs through invoices and another just shy of $5 million that's estimated cost that we pulled in through our progress reporting. We've got a current committed amount of 56.4 of that 65 million. 56.4 is committed through task orders, contracts. That leaves a total reserve of just under 9 million that we're still holding back pending resolution of the injunction that's stopping any field work at this point. So we're holding those funds back for the spring, but we are including full expenditure of those funds in our estimate at completion for the fiscal year. So we've revised our EAC to 65 million. But we've still only committed through contracts 56.4. So in terms of our work progress, as I mentioned, we would theoretically be at about 42% of the year just with a linear spend. It's not a linear spend, as you can see by the graph at the top. It is a little bit back weighted, even with just looking at the committed amounts. So looking at our 40% overall completion, that's based on a quantitative evaluation of progress on existing deliverables, as well as labor effort within all of our committed contracts. So it's a quantitative estimate of 40% complete for the year compared to a 39% estimated spend. And that's relative to the 56.4 committed amount. So we're on track in terms of our overall work plan, close alignment between our percent spend as well as percent complete, and also just sort of at a macro level for the year on track with our anticipated work plan. In terms of our small business participation, we are continuing to increase that. We're at 9% of our committed contracts to small business and disabled veteran business enterprises. And of the invoiced amount incurred, 17.5 million, 7% of that is invoiced by those same small business DVBE entities. In terms of procurements, we have no active or major professional service procurements. We will have some coming in the new year, and we'll start talking more about those with the board as we start ramping up activities on those. Outreach, we've been very active, but I think I will reserve those updates if that's okay for our communications manager report. Jessica will cover that in more detail. There's a lot of additional detail within the monthly report. Happy to go to any detail that you might be interested in or answer any questions.
Have we wrapped up the last fiscal year audit-wise?
We did. The last monthly report for November included the final closeout of those numbers. And so we fully closed out FY 24-25. My recollection is I think we had a 26% total underrun for that fiscal year. So relative to what was a $43 million approved budget, I think we're about 11 million under on that. Yeah, okay. So everything's closed out. And actually today on the agenda, you will hear the Treasury audit output from that same fiscal year.
Oh, okay. Does that complete your review?
That completes my summary of the monthly report. Yes.
Okay, very good.
Happy to answer any questions. Though,
any questions from the board? Any public comments?
President Millibar, we have not received a public comment request for this item.
Okay, we'll move on to 7B, an update on sustainability. Graham.
Thank you, President Millibar. I'll introduce we've got a member of our sustainability team here, and you're going to receive an update on the status of our work to date and our transitions now as we continue to advance our programmatic sustainability work.
And I'm just wanted to introduce myself. I'm joining remotely. Wanted to make sure everyone can hear me before we get started.
Sounds good, Kat.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Graham. My name is Catherine Shane, and I'm joined by Julia Adelman in the room there with you as my co-presenter. At the May board meeting, our team presented a sustainability program update, the purpose of which was to review the summary of activities since the adoption of the sustainability plan in 2023, the progress of our performance benchmarking, and anticipated actions for fiscal year 25-26. And today, we are pleased to be back to share an update of our benchmarking assessment and the programmatic sustainability approach as we enter the second half of fiscal year 25-26. I don't even know what year it is. And so to provide a brief refresher, this diagram probably looks a little bit familiar if you were at our last update. It illustrates the three-tiered sustainability framework that we are using to guide and drive sustainability performance for the program. The process began, as I mentioned, with establishing sustainability goals in the DCA sustainability policy that was adopted by the board in June of 2023. The process is continuing with the development of a programmatic sustainability plan, which will define the program-wide requirements and actions to be carried out through project delivery. And lastly, the project design and construction teams will carry those activities forward, including measurement and reporting on their progress. And so this arrow, the orange arrow you see in the middle of the diagram, gives you a sense of where we are currently in the process of creating that programmatic sustainability plan, which will be a living document Julia is going to tell you a bit more about later in the presentation. Next slide, please. In May, we also provided examples of ways in which the DCP's activities are in line with the DCA sustainability policy, so to demonstrate that internal alignment. Those goals are summarized in the left-hand portion of this slide. And beyond that internal alignment, we also feel it's important to highlight how the program's approach is compatible with two stakeholder groups, namely the public water agencies and DWR. So our team's sustainability staff completed an evaluation considering related goals, policies, and plans from the 16 PWAs and found a variety of parallels with the DCA policy goals. For example, 11 of the PWAs have goals related to reducing energy use, conserving water, and conserving natural resources. Beyond that, 5 of the PWAs have climate action or adaptation plans. And in addition to that, the DWR in its most recent strategic plan also showed alignment with the DCA policy. One of the notable items included in the sustainability section of the DWR strategic plan is the expressed intent to train DWR staff on the envisioned sustainable infrastructure framework and to use the system to evaluate and inform new infrastructure project planning and design. So with this context around policy and goal alignment, next up, Julia will give you an update regarding the sustainability performance benchmarking that we've been doing and the next steps towards developing the programmatic sustainability plan. You're up, Julia.
Thanks, Kat. Next slide, please. So as mentioned, we have been using the Envision Sustainability Framework to benchmark the DCP due to its comprehensive approach to environmental, economic, and social components as they relate to sustainability. It also has a very collaborative, holistic approach and applies to a very wide variety of civil infrastructure projects. So today we'd like to demonstrate the iterative nature that we've been using this process to show you the evolution of this project's benchmarking over time. But first, a very quick refresher on the framework itself. Envision includes a total of 1,000 points, possible points, but split across 5 categories related to sustainability, quality of life, leadership, resource allocation, natural world, and climate and resilience. There are 4 verification award levels should you choose to pursue third-party verification, ranging from verified up to platinum as the highest. I also want to note that because Envision applies to so many different types of infrastructure projects, transportation, of course, water, telecommunication, a lot of different types, projects only have to achieve 50% of those 1,000 possible points to reach the highest level. So there's a lot of flexibility built in there. And you'll see how this is applicable to our benchmarking in the next slide. So this diagram should also look a bit familiar. It is an updated version of what we presented in May. And it shows the current performance of the program against the framework. So I'll take a moment to discuss examples of where the program is currently performing well as talk about some examples of opportunities we've identified to give a better sense of the types of things Envision looks at. So the text colors are coordinated with the bars. So moving from left to right, feasible as is, the blue bar represents credits that are already captured in existing program commitments and requirements. So for example, in the final environmental impact report, there is an environmental commitment to divert 50% of construction waste from the landfill. So Envision asks for 50%. We've captured those points in that blue bar. Similarly, in the FEIR, there's commitments to using durable materials and looking at, long lifespan. So that's something Envision asks for. It's something that's captured in the blue bar. Moving into the green bar, which represents two different tiers of opportunities under the DCA control, the lighter green being a little more easily achieved than the darker. I want to go back to the construction waste example and look at 75%. This is the next tier that the Envision rating system asks for a commitment of. So we've identified that this is something we could technically do, but it's not yet committed to. So it's in the green commitment. Similarly, the DCA could commit to having monitoring systems for quality of groundwater that are capable of reporting to the public. Again, these are all things that the Envision rating system asks for. But it's not existing in the program at this time. And in terms of these opportunities, as we assess each of them, we are doing that in collaboration with the design team, with the environmental team, and considering if it's both technically feasible as well as economically reasonable in balance with all other program goals. So the next type of opportunity is the purple bar, future knowledge needed. This is a different type of opportunity because it doesn't fall under DCA's purview. It's either operationally related or we're just too early in the project to know yet. So examples here are operationally related. For example, the owner providing skill development for noted local skills gaps during delivery as well as afterwards in operations, or specifying specific pesticides and fertilizers for operations. Finally, the Envision strategies that we've identified not to pursue are represented in this gray bar. I first want to say about the not pursuing category that a lot of these points are because Envision set such a high bar, in addition to what I mentioned earlier being applicable to a very wide range of projects. Not all of the credits would add value to the type of project that the DCP is. So revisiting construction waste diversion one more time, the highest level that Envision asks for is 95%. So while this might be technically feasible, the program has determined that it's unlikely to add commensurate benefit compared to the amount of effort it would take to achieve this. So we've put it in the not pursuing bucket. Similarly, an example of another example of the high bar Envision sets is removing previously existing air pollution sources. So while the project has considered air pollution and during the environmental phase and is accounting for the required amount of air pollution and air quality impacts, it would be cost prohibitive to reach this highest level of that Envision asks for by removing previously existing sources. So with those examples and context in mind, I did allude to the fact that this score has changed since the last time. And so on the next slide, we'll look at a different view of that evolution. So these donut charts go back a year and a half and represent the evolution that our team has captured in these benchmarking activities. It shows that as the program progresses, sustainability achievement becomes more certain. This is because opportunities are determined after further evaluation, as I mentioned, with other teams, to either be captured in existing program requirements, so moving from the green to the blue, or determined to not pursue, moving from the green to the gray. And one example down below of that change of points represented, so you see the green arrow moving from our June 2025 opportunities is around lighting. And while lighting and sensitive areas had been studied and accounted for in the environmental process, the Envision framework listed more requirements that could be achieved if we address backlight, uplight, and glare, which had not all been addressed in environmental. So after conversations with the design team, it was determined that this is something that could be easily achieved. And so we've then moved it up into where you see the December 2025 blue to be captured in our feasible as is category. So all that to say, because the program is still very early, there's still the purple chunk hasn't changed. There's still a lot we don't know. However, that also means we're in a great position at the moment to capture any win-wins early on and improve efficiency and sustainable performance. So continuing this process of benchmarking will help integrate those activities into the project. I also want to note that the growth from the 20% in June 2024 to 26% today, it demonstrates a reasonable buffer in that first verified category of 20%. So this benchmarking exercise has confirmed that Envision is a valuable and applicable framework to compare the project to. However, it would be too premature to commit to third-party verification at this time. And on the next slide. So all that being said, we still plan to carry forward using this benchmarking approach, kind of a self-assessment with Envision. It helps us set up streamlined tracking, measuring, and reporting. And it keeps the door open should down the line verification be something we want to consider. Which leads us to our deliverable for this year. So putting rubber to the road, and we will be developing the programmatic sustainability plan. So this will capture the approach of the self-assessed benchmarking, and it will serve as a living document as the program progresses. Plan development will include metrics and target development at a level of detail, that's appropriate for where we're at right now. And it will also be integrated into other program documents and environmental tracking. One last thing here, I want to recall that one of the DCA sustainability policy goals was to regularly review and report on sustainability activities. And this programmatic sustainability plan sets up the framework with which we will be able to do that easily, succinctly, and integrated with other required reporting on the program. So last slide. So here's just a high-level look at the next 6 months as we close out the fiscal year and develop and deliver our programmatic plan. This is just to show that all these activities will be happening concurrently, the development of the plan, as well as integrating the plan into other program documents like sustainable guidelines, procurement, and basis of design. So with that, I will pass it back to Kat for some closing thoughts.
Thanks, Julia. That's great. So we'll leave you with 4 closing takeaways. First, the 3-tiered process framework shown at the beginning of the presentation provides our team with a solid structure for developing, implementing, and tracking sustainability performance over time. Second, the benchmarking exercise using Envision is encouraging collaboration, it's yielding results, and it allows us to communicate performance clearly to interested parties. Third, while it is too soon to confirm whether a third-party certification with the Institute for Sustainable Infrastructure is the right choice for the program, this aspect could be reconsidered at a later date if appropriate. And last but not least, we are focused on that deliverable of the programmatic sustainability management plan as the key document for the end of this fiscal year, ensuring that it is well coordinated with design and procurement activities. So with that, thank you very much for your attention, and we welcome any questions.
I think that was a very good report, and it lays out a nice framework that, as you described, it'll just be a living document and it improves over time. So that was very good, and I appreciate the presentation. Are there any questions from Robert?
Yeah, Kat and Julia, really appreciate the in-depth and thoughtful discussion on this. I remember taking a class in Envision like 10 years ago, but I never pursued the certification process. And as you kind of pointed out, it is rather detailed. Maybe a few questions. How many projects do you know that has actually gone through the ISI process? That's question number one. And then, what's the benefits of kind of pursuing the actual certification? Is it monetary? Is it, something else? Because I imagine it, probably costs, some money.
Well, I don't know the total number of projects that has achieved an Envision verification off the top of my head, although I can check and get back to you on that. Parsons has gone through several completed certifications, and you're right, it is not it's not for the faint of heart, I guess, because they do expect substantiation of all of the credits that a project or program deems feasible and claims to have achieved. The benefits, I would say, are, they're multifold. One of the reasons why we felt Envision was the appropriate way of evaluating performances is the way in which it allows for communication and comparison of apples to apples. And if that second set of eyes hasn't been put on the documentation, then there could be a lower level of confidence that the sustainability claims have actually been achieved. Now, there are ways to ensure that we are demonstrating performance to avoid the appearance of greenwashing, and I don't think that that's really a risk with this program because so much of the sustainability components are already baked in, and you can see that in the as-is score, that blue bar on the charts that we shared. But I do think there is validity to the fact that when you get someone to validate your results, it provides a higher degree of assurance that those things were actually achieved. And yeah, as far as the level of effort that goes into it, there is that labor involved in collecting the documentation, and then ISI charges a fee for the review, which is dependent on the project size and the number of packages, which again, at this point, it's a little too early to tell exactly how that would be organized, but we have been in touch with ISI and they are open to collaborating with projects to figure out the best solution. Again, if we were to go in that direction, which we're not at this time.
Thanks, Kat. And I'll just add, I believe the total number of projects that have been certified is in the hundreds. It's newer than LEED for buildings. Thousands of projects have LEED. And many are currently in the works right now and not yet certified.
President Millibar, I have a question. This is Gary Martin.
Yes, go ahead, Gary.
Thank you. As far as the ISI certification timetable, is it extended through the duration of construction so that there's assurance that we make the commitments that we achieve the commitments rather that we make in the application?
Yes, that is correct. So there's typically what happens is there's a package of documentation that is submitted at the conclusion of design or no earlier than 95% design for the boundary in question, whatever that may be. And then at the conclusion of construction, there's a follow-up submission for substantiating all of the activities and tracking that occurred during construction. So in that first submission, you send the intention, all the plans and processes and policies related to construction. And then at the second submission, when construction is substantially complete, you actually show that you executed those plans and achieved the thresholds that were targeted. Like Julia was saying earlier, for example, the construction waste credit, you would have to actually show evidence of the diversion of waste from the landfill to reach the threshold that was targeted.
So this would require an ongoing effort throughout the project.
Yes, for certain, yes. So some of the effort concludes at design, and then for the construction related activities, that would continue, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions from Tony or Adnan? You're okay?
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Tony. No? Was this part of the EIR requirements have sustainability in there?
The EIR does address sustainability, but it was not a requirement to look at Envision in this way.
Okay, very
This
good.
is coming from the DCA sustainability policy primarily,
Okay,
although there is quite a bit of overlap between the two.
yeah. Are there any public requests for comment?
President Millibar, we haven't received any public comment requests for this item.
Okay, with no other questions, we'll thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you.
We'll move on to 7C, the annual financial audit report. Is there a staff report on this?
We have a presentation from Russell Robertson, the firm responsible for conducting the audit. So I'll let Russell take over.
Great. Thanks, Graham. Good afternoon, board members. I thank you for allowing me to share a few minutes with you to communicate the results of this year's audit. Just to give context on the background of how this audit comes about is we're engaged with the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California to conduct their audit financial statement review. In that contract, we're engaged to do the audit of the cash receipts and disbursements for the DCA. So that's how this engagement comes about. As you know, DCA's and has an agreement with Metropolitan as a trustee to handle the DCA fund, and in there all the cash receipts and disbursements. Next slide, please. So we put together this brief presentation to go over what our scope of services are and what we deliver for this year. Just the scope is for fiscal year end of June 30, 2025. I'll go over quickly the audit results, and then there's the secondary report that you should have received as well, what we call the required communications. Next slide. Again, yeah, thanks. So like I was mentioning, the audit that we do is another basis of accounting audit. That's how this report is formed, is we just focus on the statement of cash receipts and disbursements, and that's what's put together for our report. And with that, we apply our audit procedures. We take reliance on Metropolitan's internal controls. They're well established, so we can rely on that, how they manage cash, how they disperse cash. So we double check the approvals for that as well, and how they record it in the DCA fund. And when we're all said and done, we do deliver an audit report, independent audit report. And like I was mentioning, another report that we have a set of required communications that we have to let the board know at the conclusion of the audit. So I'll go over those as well. Next slide, please. Again, yeah. Like I mentioned, we do prepare, the DCA prepares a financial statement, which is called the statements of cash receipts and disbursements. Like I was mentioning, is the cash basis of accounting. We still audit under the normal U.S. Generally accepted auditing standards. So it's not a full-blown financial statement audit, but we still apply our same procedures and processes and go by all the pronouncements that are around that. And through that, we're able to issue an audit report. And for fiscal year 25, I'm happy to say, once again, it's an unmodified opinion on that financial statement. So what that really means is, through all our work and going through all this and reviewing it, no anomalies came about. We didn't have any adjustments needed. So everything was appropriate, and we were comfortable providing an unmodified opinion, meaning that it was done appropriately for fiscal year 25. Next slide. I put this slide here just to give you context. It's from the report itself, so you could review that one as well. I just wanted to show this is really the only financial statement in that report. And it just illustrates kind of the consistency from year to year. So you can see from 24 to 25, pretty similar in contribution levels. Disbursements were pretty close. It's about the same. So I just wanted to illustrate that how the money's coming in and going out, pretty consistent. And you can see there then for the end of 25, your cash at the end of the year, roughly around 800,000. Next slide, please. And then this is the next one. Another report was issued as well, and I'll briefly go over this. We have to identify once again the independence requirements that we have. What accounting practices are being used. If there were any difficulties during the audit, and there were none. There was no, like I was mentioning, no uncorrected or corrected misstatements, no disagreements. No other management consultation was used, and really overall no findings or any other issues that popped up during our audit. So all in all, really good. So next slide. I think that's it. Again, I want to thank we do work directly with the Metropolitan's finance department. We get the information. It's very organized. We want to thank them for their help with this and with a very smooth audit for the DCA's financial statement. So with that, I'm open to any questions or thoughts on this year.
Any questions from the board? No questions? Well, that was a favorable report and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to,
Millibar, there's no
Oh,
public comment for this.
I'm
item.
sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, no public comment on that one. On 7D, Senior Leadership Spotlight with Gwen Buchholz, Environmental Division Manager. Graham.
Yes, that's correct. Thank you, President Millibar. So just wanted, before Gwen starts with her presentation, wanted to circle us back, although it's a little bit hard to see at this scale, so I apologize. We updated our organization last February, March timeframe. And through that rollout process, established a series of divisions, 6 divisions now. And if you'll recall, we actually were starting to lay out future expansion of these divisions for the delivery phase of the project, including design and construction and startup and commissioning. All the divisions are functional at this point. We've gone through quite a bit of work establishing the clear roles and responsibilities of each of those divisions, ensuring key leadership positions are filled, and where we still have vacancies, continuing to pursue aggressively to fill those vacancies. Since that time, we've brought forward several individuals, either as the division managers of these divisions or key supporting roles. So our new executive deputy or deputy executive director, for instance. But at this point, wanted to bring Gwen Buchholz forward. Gwen's been involved in the program for many years. She manages our environmental division, has a lot of experience on the program, and completes our initial series of senior leadership spotlights where we bring forward the division managers and other key folks and introduce them to the board. We'll continue to work our way through senior leaders as we bring them onto the program or have other reasons to come back and either reintroduce or bring them to the board. But with Gwen coming forward here today, I'm happy to say we've got good coverage and leadership amongst all the key divisions. And I'm sure you'll see with Gwen's experience, we're very happy to have her involved in this program. So with that, President Millibar, I'll turn it over to Gwen.
Okay.
There we go. Good afternoon. My name's Gwen Buchholz, and as Graham said, I'm the environmental manager for DCA. I'm a registered civil engineer. Oh, next slide, please. Pay attention. There we go. I have a long history in California. I was born and raised here, and I started off in San Jose and spent most of my life here in Sacramento. And I got a bachelor's degree in physics from Sacramento State, CSU Sacramento, or Sac State as we all call it still, and a master's degree in civil engineering, environmental engineering from UC Davis. I started my career off at Montgomery Engineers, or Montgomery Watson, became Stan Tech. I was there for like 21 years. Then I moved to CH2M Hill, now Jacobs, for 24 years. So I'll have 50 years experience next year since I got out of college. A little bit about my background. I met my husband on the first day of college at Sac State. We've been together now for over 50 years. We'll be married 47 years in January. He's a pediatric neonatologist, so he does intensive care of the newborn. So we're quite the couple. We have passions together in the sense that we love sports. We have season tickets here to the A's here at Sutter Health Park, and also like to go down and see Sharks in San Jose for the ice hockey. We travel a bit now. We used to have Raiders tickets, but now the Raiders moved, we wander around in different places and see football. Also, I like doing a lot of gardening, and it seems like I have an ever going on house remodeling. Someday it might be done, but many people do that. Next slide, please. So my experience has been, as I said, a lot of experience in California. I've worked in the 42 of the California counties, program manager, project manager for many of those programs, engineering-wise and environmental practitioners. Worked in 16 states and 4 different countries too. It's been a wonderful career, and I've been around with the Delta Conveyance Project since 2006. I was on the early parts of BDCP, subsequently Waterfix, and then now here at Delta Conveyance Project. So in the other projects that I've done that support that too, I've worked with CVP and State Water projects for the Bureau of Reclamation and Department of Water Resources since 1984. So a lot of experience working with the models, like the calcium models or DSM-2 models and managing those, as well as the environmental documentation that goes with that and the engineering. So with that process, I know a lot of those things that we happened, and people will say, well, why did this occur? And I can say, well, back in this day, this is why this sort of thing has crept up on us on that part. The other things I've done, though, is that I've done a lot of designs and pipeline designs primarily, up to about 120 inch, which is including microtunneling, and then also some pumping plants. But through those design and a lot of the construction management, I really started to focus on permit engineering and doing environmental practitioner work and writing the EIRs, writing the EISs and permit apps. When we were out in the field doing construction or doing design, we needed a change in an environmental document really fast. And so we started our own processes in the firms, and so that we could actually start writing those. And then I moved on and worked a lot with the DWR and the Bureau. Some of the projects that I've worked on with the environmental documents for the state have been the Salton Sea Restoration Program. Also worked on not the current LTO, long-term operations for the state, but the previous long-term operations for the State Water Project. And also I was worked on the environmental document and the main document of the Delta Plan. And so all of that experience helps us move forward and integrate, not just within the DCA, between the engineering teams and the technical services teams, as well as environmental, but also working with Carrie Buckman as we work through and do an environmental liaison, so that we can make sure that our engineering documents and the environmental documents all have the same information. We help each other so that we can move forward quickly and efficiently together. So it's been a fun time to do this. If I can have the next slide, please. Just want to take a few minutes to talk about the people in our environmental management team here at DCA. So I'm the division manager, as I said. John Schoonover is our deputy environmental manager. And then Karen Asklin, who's also she's been on the project since 2019. And she's works on the environmental compliance. She is really leading our process through the geotechnical and field investigations, through doing our initial studies and helping DWR do the initial studies and mitigated negative declarations, and making sure that we have set up a compliance program for doing environmental commitments so that we can prove to everyone, the public, the regulatory agencies, DWR and DCA ourselves, that we have met the environmental commitments required by CEQA and the permits. And so she has been working on that. George Valenzuela is providing our environmental support information. He's my right-hand person many times, along with John Schoonover, to work this through. And we're currently putting together the environmental commitments portions of the basis of design reports that are moving forward. And that's with Neil Nykirk and Holly Barbary. So that's our environmental team. And we all have a long history. As I said, Karen's had a long history with this project specifically. John's had experience with the State Water Project and the Central Valley Project for probably over 15 years. And we're moving forward with this right now. So didn't want to take up too much time, but I'm here to go up and answer questions, and I could go on and on for a long time.
Well, I'm very pleased that you're helping us with a lot of environmental work and projects design and everything. That's what we need, so that we don't hit a hitch that we didn't cover.
Exactly.
So that really matters. Are there any other questions from the board?
President Millibar, this is Director Anatowi. Just I wanted to make a comment.
Please.
Thank you. Gwen, it's always nice to hear from you. I think we heard from you a few years back. It was someone on your team, but it's It's always a pleasure. It's obvious how much passion you've had for California water projects, and I just wanted to commend you on a really good job at the state board, the water rights hearing. So I know that's a grueling process, and I got a chance to listen to some of your testimony. But anyway, thank you, and yeah, really appreciate you as part of the team.
Thank you for those kind words of support. I appreciate it.
Any other comments?
Yes, President Millibar, I have a comment.
Okay, please, go ahead.
Thank you.
Derek.
Directed to Gwen. At the risk of exposing my prejudice, I'm always happy to have a civil engineer, registered civil engineer on our leadership team, especially someone with the extent of your experience and qualifications. So I'm glad you're with the team and welcome aboard.
Thank you very much for those kind words.
Any other comments?
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. President, I wanted to welcome her aboard. She's Gwen's very experienced, and I'm really glad that she's aboard. Thank you. You add so much to our leadership team. Gwen, thank you.
Thank you very much, Director Estomero. Appreciate it.
Okay. Any other public comments?
No public comment request for this item.
Well, thank you again for all your experience and your leadership. Very important to us.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll move on to item 7E, a resolution approving the Conflict of Interest Code amendment. Is there a staff report on this?
Thanks, President Millibar. I'll present this item.
Okay.
So the DCA, like other public agencies, is required to adopt and amend a conflict of interest code. This code identifies the additional staff members required to file a statement of economic interests or a Form 700 beyond those required to do so by state law. The code must be reviewed and updated regularly and as required. During our most recent review, we determined that changes were necessary. These were largely due to the organizational update that Graham mentioned in the last item, and are cleaned up to reflect new and updated positions and responsibility within the organization. This item would approve that amended code. A red line is included in the packet for reference, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Any questions on this item? Okay.
Motion for approval, Mr. President.
I'll second.
Okay. Oh, we have a motion and a second, so we can do is this a roll call vote?
Yes, please.
Call in. I just want to confirm that we don't have any public comments on this
Okay.
item.
Thank you.
President Millibar,
Aye.
Director Martin,
Aye.
Director McMillan. Yes. Director Estomero,
Aye.
Director Chang,
Aye.
Director Anaptawi,
Yes.
and Director Weed.
All right.
Right,
resolution passes. Thank you.
Okay, very good. We'll move on to item 8, reports. Before we start the reports, we will take all public comment on the staff reports and announcement now. Are there any public comments on the reports?
President Millibar, I can confirm that we have not received public comment requests for this particular item or any other item on the agenda.
Okay, then we'll move on to item A. Our first report is the General Counsel's report.
Thanks, President Millibar. So my written report is in the packet. I wanted to highlight the 2 laws that are discussed in the report. The first is SB 827. This is a new law that will require 2-hour financial related training for directors, very similar to the AB 1234 ethics training that's required. That training, similar to AB 1234, will be required every 2 years, with the first training for this board due by January 1st of 2028. The one good news for our purpose is that training for any agency counts for all agencies. So we'll make sure to coordinate with your member agencies where we anticipate you'll receive the training to obtain a certificate and ensure everyone's taken care of. If for any reason, there becomes a need for us to help assist in finding that training for you, we're happy to do so. But again, anticipate that's something that will be handled by your member agencies, and we'll coordinate with staff on that. Yeah, that's an interesting point, and I think one area that we're still looking at, because of the focus, it's not something that we anticipate counsel will be provided. It is possible some of the larger agencies like MET may have in-house staff. For other agencies, we anticipate the CPA or similar community will be providing that training. We're coordinating with CSDA and other AQUA and other types of organizations to help identify resources. And I think just those are being shared within the larger public agency community.
Right. Have they developed or proposing an online training opportunity?
To my knowledge, it is not like the AB 1234 where a state agency will be providing a version of the training, but I can confirm that and report back if I'm mistaken.
Any other questions?
And I just really briefly, President Miller, I apologize. I just wanted to mention the second bill, which is SB 707. This is an update to the Brown Act. And it's a pretty substantial update to the Brown Act. And at a threshold matter, it distinguishes between larger agencies, which it indicates are those with eligible legislative bodies, and other agencies. And the edits for those agencies with eligible legislative bodies is pretty substantial. We've determined that the DCA, like other JPAs, most likely does not have eligible legislative bodies. So we fall in the latter category, which has less changes for us. But there are still some important changes that I've highlighted in the packet for the board to be aware of. The first, the Brown Act now will expressly include an ADA accommodation for you to participate remotely. If for some reason the other alternatives for participating remotely doesn't accommodate a disability. So if any directors ever feel that's an issue, that's something we'll coordinate with you. The second is an update to the AB 122449 or alternative teleconferencing requirements. As a reminder, this is a situation where the Brown Act allows you to call in from a private remote meeting location without including that location on the agenda. Historically, the grounds for that were in two categories. One, a personal emergency, or the second, just cause, and there were slightly different rules for both. It was frankly a little confusing and hard for us to keep track of on the staff side. The good news here is that SB 707 will sort of combine and streamline those requirements. So rather than having multiple categories, it'll just be just cause. And there are now 7 areas in which you can meet just cause. I won't go through those in the interest of time, but they're included in the report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. And then the last item I wanted to flag for you is new in SB 707 is we will be required to provide you with a copy of the Brown Act. So Claudia and I will be working on that, and we'll be sending to you that most likely by email. That's all I had, President Millibar, but happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions of Josh? No questions, so we'll move on to the treasurer's report. Who will be making that report?
President Millibar, we do have Adam Benson here, who is stepping in for Catano today.
Okay.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everybody. My name is Adam Benson. I'm the Group Manager for Finance Administration with Metropolitan, filling in for Catano today. The Standard Treasurer's Report is attached for your review. Before I jump into just a high-level summary, I did want to acknowledge the comments of Russ on the prior item, our auditor, and really just thank him for the kind words to our staff, some of which are on here. Joy Mayor, our controller, Elaine Dimson, our assistant controller, and Thomas Hunt, a senior accountant. They really do a great job, and we're very pleased with the results of that. So I wanted to thank Russ and the board for all of the assistance and for the great work of the Metropolitan team. On the Treasury Report, I'll be really brief. As of October, the DCA reported an opening cash balance of about $565,000 with net contributions of about $7 million and disbursements of about $5.8 million, resulting in an ending cash balance of about $1.3 million as of November 30, 2025. And that concludes the Treasurer's Report.
Any questions on that? No questions? We'll move on to item C, the communications report.
Just going to wait till it's pulled up. But hello, President Millibar and members of the board. Great to see you all in the room and here on the screen as well. So for November for our team, there was a lot of work that went into preparing for the Aqua Fall Conference, the Association of California Water Agencies. It was great to see and engage with many of you and the other PWAs down there. We were very excited. You can see the photo here on the screen, but to unveil our new DCA look and feel at the conference. So we had an updated booth and materials and just really enjoyed being there and having so many conversations. Was a great opportunity to not only share information, but answer questions, and having so much of the Graham and the senior leadership team there as well was really impactful. So I appreciated everybody's time and commitment there. We also continue to coordinate really closely with both DWR and the state water contractors to have calls with the different participating water agencies, many general managers we spoke to, communications leads, and I know several of you participated on behalf of your agencies as well. And the purpose of those calls was to really look forward to 2026, talk about some of what we're planning on the communications and outreach side, and then get feedback. So hearing directly how we can be, more helpful in sharing information, whether that's through fact sheets or social media. Are there local or regional events that are helpful for us to make sure we have a presence at, and making sure we're getting out and sharing information. So we've almost completed that process. I think we have a few more to go, a couple scheduled here at the end of the year, but we're already using that feedback to start informing our planning for next year. So one of the things we're planning on the DCA side is launching a quarterly newsletter early in the year that can be communicating out the work that's happening here at DCA, but also make sure that we are sharing the latest fact sheets, sharing information that can be easily promoted and shared on social media via the water agencies as well. So keep an eye out for that. We should be launching it early next year. On the social side, we also have established a DCA Threads account. So Threads is the Meta platform that's similar to the X or Twitter platform that a lot of people are familiar with. And so this is part of our endeavor to make sure we are continuing to expand our reach and reach new audiences and meet audiences where they are on social. We've also released some new templates. We are working on Spanish and Chinese translations for some of our newer fact sheets. So we should have those ready early in the year, and we'll make sure we post those online and share those via social as well. I think, Claudia, if we can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. As mentioned, staying closely coordinated with the Delta Conveyance Office and the DWR Communications team and providing support where we can. They also released some new translated materials last month. So again, I think a lot of effort going in to make sure we have in-language materials and our information is accessible, and then getting those materials into the informational repositories at the various libraries and locations throughout the Delta, so the community members also have the latest information from the project. And then working together to start planning out what that editorial calendar and content looks like for 2026. On the event side, in addition to Aqua, in November, we had a presence at the North American Tunneling Conference where Graham was able to speak on a panel, so a great opportunity for industry outreach. We were at the Public Policy Institute of California, had a water conference here in Sacramento. We supported an MWD tour here at DCA. And then earlier this month, we had the team down at the California Infrastructure Development Conference and Expo in Los Angeles. So another example of that industry outreach and starting to get the word out about this project as we look forward down the road to implementation. Turning to the early part of next year, we are engaging, we're joining and plan to be at the Southern California Water Coalition's quarterly meeting and luncheon, and we will be in the desert in Palm Springs for the Urban Water Institute Spring Conference and working to firm up more opportunities for next year, even as we speak. Thank you. On the website, we've been seeing some good traffic to mainly the About Us page, so people looking for more information about who DCA is, our document library, and then accessing the meetings portion of the site, so getting information for meetings like the one we're having today. We are going through a pretty extensive overhaul of both the document library and the video library on the website. There's a lot of content there. It's just not always easy to find or download. So we're looking forward to launching that early next year. We'll make a big push to make sure people know about that update. And then lastly, on the social side, as I mentioned, we did launch a Threads account, so starting to build up followers there. And then we've put a little bit of a paid media buy together, very modest, but to look at how we can boost some of those posts and reach more people. And you'll see here, like on Instagram, we had about a 5,000% increase in engagement. So I think looking to do a little bit more of that next year. Like some of the feedback we've gotten to is just making sure we're reaching, the right audiences and getting our material out there and more eyes on it, and continuing to look at how we can make the posts and that content more engaging and easily shareable, as we were mentioning from the, for the PWAs. So that concludes my report for today, and I'd be happy to answer questions.
Well, it seems like you've increased a lot of communication with the public since you assumed the position. And that has to be rewarding to you. It does to us. So appreciate all your extra work to promote the project. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments? Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah, thanks, Jessica, for the metrics. I guess one question for you is, and I think I've asked the question before, how do we kind of gauge success, for, our outreach efforts? I mean, it seems like we could put the efforts out there, but, how do we kind of define, if we need to more? Have you looked at other projects, as a comparison for, the penetration of the messaging, or is that even effective?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question, and that's something we could, kind of take back to the team to compare. I mean, I think going back to your earlier comment, I think it's a mixture of quantitative and qualitative. I mean, I think one of the things our team was remarking on from the Aqua conference is just there was a lot of people stopping by to express support. I think, talking with the team here, I know we're a little bit newer, but that seems to be, an evolution and a positive, direction just in terms of that outreach. When we were in LA last week at that conference on the infrastructure, focused conference with industry, a lot of people didn't know about the project. And I think that goes to the fact that that's, as we look again towards, for the next few years and moving towards implementation, it really is worth looking at, the opportunities there to make sure we're showing up and have a presence and can start that education, and then watching over time, how does that evolve and how are we building up that awareness?
I'd like to know what our plans are to maybe drive some of those hits on the website. They seem like they're in the initial stage and we really need to get the numbers up.
Yeah.
Are we data mining any emails at the conferences that we go to, like getting people's cards and then putting them in?
Yeah, we have a sign up list. I think that's part of the newsletter strategy too. So in continuing to build our list and have that vehicle link back to our website, have our social, once we have the document library and video library updated, we'll make sure to do a pretty big push there as well. So not only through social, but again, using the newsletter and other channels so that we can drive more traffic there and make sure we're driving people right to the right portions of the website too, and making it easy for them to find that information. But definitely a lot more work to do there over the course of next year. So thank you for that question.
Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you for the report, and keep up the good work. So we'll move on to the DWR Environmental Manager Report.
Thank you, President Millibar and members of the board. It's good to see everyone. So a few quick updates. I do have a report in the packet, but I wanted to highlight a few things. The Corps of Engineers completed their NEPA compliance in November. They released the final environmental impact statement on November 21st. So that is available on their website. Additionally, we're working quite hard on the water rates process. We are seeking a change in point of diversion for our water rates. And just as a reminder, that's not an increase in our water rates. It's just adding 2 new points of diversion. So we finished the first 2 phases of the process, which I think are the more involved. And we have rebuttal coming next. We have a written testimony due on Monday. So the team is working quite hard to finish that up. For the Endangered Species Act, we are waiting for our biological opinions from U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and NIMS on construction of the project. They had planned to be finished early in the new year, but the federal shutdown did delay some of that work. So we are working with them to get them back up to speed and moving, but we do understand that there will be a small delay in that work. And then finally, Delta Plan consistency. We submitted our certification of consistency with the Delta Plan to the Delta Stewardship Council in October. We received 10 appeals in November, and we are currently working through the process of preparing for the hearing, which will be February 26th and 27th of next year. As part of that process, the appellants develop briefs to explain their appeals, and those are due January 2nd. And then we respond in a brief that is due on February 9th. So there will be work to develop those and then the hearing at the end of February. So I think those are my updates, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of Carrie? Well, thank you again for all the work that you've done and help us along. We'll keep going. I think that pretty much completes the agenda. If there's no other future items to discuss, we can adjourn the meeting. Any other questions?
Just a comment.
Okay.
So just like to take a moment to thank the team for all the hard work. This year, I know it's been, challenging, and Carrie, I'm not singling you out, but I remember we're sitting here last year and, you're, literally getting the, the environmental permits, the application in, and here we are, a year later, and the Stewardship Council application. So, 2 pretty significant, very significant milestones. And again, credit to Graham and his team for picking up some real good talent to kind of help this project along. So thank you very much. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Okay, that will complete the agenda for today. We're adjourned.